Coverage of NCBA's CattleCon 2024 is brought to you by Alltech. Working together for a planet of plenty. Find out more by going to alltech.com. Shaun Haney here with RealAgriculture.com and Real Ag Radio, Rural Radio 147 to Sirius XM. We're at CattleCon 2024 in Orlando, Florida. And, usually we have to do this virtually, but we're in person. And I'm sitting here with Matt Makens of Makens Weather. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Good. I should have just created a box around you like we're still on Zoom or something. That way I'll recognize you.
That's true. Okay, let's dig in here. A lot of talk about here cow herd numbers. And let's be honest, the market is signaling that you should retain some more females. Mm-hmm. The reality is, for a lot of ranchers, at least on the western half of the United States and in western Canada, we need some rain in order to make the grass, in order for producers to feel confident to do so. You and I last chatted probably just over a month ago, and dryness is still, a lot hasn't changed. We had a bit of a warm spurt, for sure, in western Canada and the northern plains, and here we sit still waiting for moisture. What's the update on the situation?
It's, in some cases, it's roughly the same, just sped ahead by a couple of weeks. Because in the last discussion we talked about, we get periods of moisture, especially BC, and the mountains can at times, if BC doesn't steal it all.
Yeah.
But the transition we chatted about going back to La Nina, it's happening. It's happening quick. We're losing all that El Nino momentum, if you will. So the transitional period is actually can be a good period for the prairies. Getting into the mountains, not necessarily east, there's a minimal impact there, but by that transition, the faster we get into the La Nina, you're almost reversing the precip pattern. So we're going to catch it on that swing as it comes back up to the north. So late spring, early summer, I see hopeful signs of getting some water on a lot of the prairies. Whereas I believe the last time we chatted, it was kind of more, a little bit maybe later in the summer, so not as well timed. But as long as the speed of this transition occurs as it looks like it will today, we're going to catch some of that water swinging up out of the States, get it into kind of the west, May, June-ish.
Okay, May better. Like I was going to say, pre-June 1st, I think is ideal. A lot of ranchers I talk to, they'll say, okay, what did Matt say? Because if we get a lot of rainfall, and it happens in July, August, we're past the window. Right? We need grass earlier in the season, and because it gets so hot, once we get into July, we need that rain in June. So you're telling me there is a chance?
Yeah, like as you look progressively through May into early June, there's a pretty pronounced odds in favor of wetness. And I'm not like, not everybody's getting covered in rain, but the odds, the frequency of rain dramatically increases in that period. So, bottom line for everybody, your odds are much better in May and early June. The wet season is kind of the summer, and that's misleading because, maybe it's the wet season, but for a lot of us in this industry, I don't care about the wet season. I care about the first day of the wet season. It better be wet already to help things out for the rest of the year.
Between now and planting time, what can we expect on the western half? Because it's been interesting, it's been volatile, right? We went from, let's just talk Fahrenheit for a second, we went from minus 50 in Montana and Alberta. Then 10 days later, we're talking 55 degrees, 60 degrees, and kids are playing baseball outside. What's happening?
When we start to bottle up cold around the pole and Siberia, this happens throughout October, as snow is falling over, you're bottling up that cold. And once you hit January, February, March, April, all you need is a connection to that cold. Grab it and bring it our way. Because we don't have snowpack. It's pretty brown in a lot of places. So we're not trapping the cold here, so we have to send it in. So in early January, there was kind of a weakening of the pole, if you will, the winds up there, and that allowed some of that cold air to kind of seep our way. We may see that again tail end of February, early March. The probability kind of looks like it's a lesser impact of cold than what we had in January, but potentially another cold spell is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And with that, you would hope there'd be some moisture, but the cold stuff is really dry here.
Yeah.
So once we get past February, get into March, that's when we're going to see those odds of the potential of grabbing this cold really start to drop off. Like it's got to happen next month, 6 weeks or so, for that true cold to move in.
Let's jump over to the eastern side of the country. And Eastern Canada, different story. It's the opposite end of the spectrum. I've been talking to some ranchers from the Maritimes, and they've been saying, Shaun, we got enough moisture. Like, it can stop. We have had 3, actually last night I was having a drink with a rancher, and she was in New Brunswick. 3 major rain events here just recently. What's happening there, and can we expect a bit of a back off, or is this going to continue?
It backs off somewhat. It's kind of part of the early winter season of the storms kind of coming from the Pacific Northwest of the states, so around Vancouver down toward Portland and Seattle, those kind of areas. They kind of start there, and then they go south of the prairies into the states. They grab water from the Gulf of Mexico, start throwing it at areas like here, Florida, up the East Coast, and then they can dump a lot of snow, or rain in this case, around the Great Lakes towards the Maritimes. It's just part of the storm flow that we have when there's El Nino present in the early season. As we go through, say, the next several weeks into the next few months, most of that storm flow doesn't really favor the Pacific Northwest or BC anymore. It favors California and kind of flatlines right across the southern states and then curls up. And that's more of a time where you can get, we call nor'easters in the New England states, and you can throw a lot of water over the Maritimes as well. But that becomes less and less likely later in the season. But yeah, they're very wet. Their soils are saturated, and they've been for a couple of years. But really, I mean, they could share. I mean, there's got to be a way. We'll find a way. I know diesel prices are high, but let's bottle water there and ship it west or something.
We were talking about a water pipeline.
Yeah.
It's hard to get pipelines built in North America now. Maybe we'll get one built for sharing some water. Central Canada, Ontario. What I've been hearing from a lot of farmers in southwestern Ontario is the fact there's not a lot of snow on the ground. What's your thoughts there on the weather patterns?
That's all tied to El Nino. If you look at all El Ninos, or just those that are most similar to this one we're in, the snow is much lower throughout all of Canada and the northern U.S. Yeah. You bring those down, 60, 70, 80% of average. So that's I hate to say normal for El Nino, but that's normal. Your temperatures are milder. You don't get that snowfall. It stays down to your south. So that, to me, is not surprising. The other side of that is what could that do to us down the road? As we hit spring thaw, go into summer, sometimes it's nice to have that snow slowly melt, gets into dugouts, helps surface water. If it's not there, probably not this year because it's so soggy, but you can run into the stream flow, the dugout water issues, even back there.
Yeah. Okay, between now and planting, spring, North America, what are the triggers, the points we're looking for here to give us an indication what this is going to look like?
Early season forages, oats, wheat, whatever it may be, grasses look good. Early hay, a couple first cuttings should be good. You look at corn, and you're probably going to hear the opposite side. You're going to hear, we're pretty dry right now. We're in a drought. We're trying to start this year's corn in a drought. We've got to get the water coming. And then it's going to come to summer, and we're going to be talking about the timing of rain for corn. It's like, well, we're starting to get the rains, but they got to be well timed for us.
We're going to try to kill this corn crop again, aren't we?
And then late in the season, we'll start getting more plentiful moisture coming in, and the people are going to say, well, I got to cut it now, so we can turn the rain off. So bottom line is wet in the prairies early on, dry late in the year, and the opposite for corn. Kind of dry early and wetter as the season goes on.
Well, Matt, I really appreciate it. Good luck on Friday in the CattleFax update, which is definitely one of the highlights of all the CattleCon conventions. You'll be on the stage giving the weather update, and really look forward to hearing that. And thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me on. Always good to chat with you, and we'll see you.
In person, which has been a lot of fun. We'll talk to you on Zoom.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.